Hi, I'm Lavinia. I'm usually behind the scenes editing the YouTube videos, but I'm here today to talk to you about the Flow Hive. We've had loads of questions about it, so I'm here to answer them all, to give an honest review. Is it worth the money? So we've had our Flow Hive for about 18 months now. We got it probably in March or April of 2023. We tried to catch a swarm, but we couldn't get one. So a very good family friend of ours took the Flow Hive away and gave it back to us. He worked his magic and it was full of bees. Okay, I don't know how he did it. Can't help you with that one. That's how we got our bees. So this brings us to the first problem with using the Flow Hive in Ireland, and why a lot of people think you can't use the Flow Hive in Ireland. The Flow Hive is Langstroth size. So there's 3 sizes of beehives that I know anyway: commercial, Langstroth, and national. So in Ireland, the most common size is a national hive. It's a small frame, but across the world, Langstroth is the most popular. And coming from Australia, Flow Hive is Langstroth size. So if you have bees already and you've got national hives, you won't be able to swap frames in and out with the Langstroth. If you're starting off and the Flow Hive is your first hive like us, you're going to find it very hard. You can't take bees from another beekeeper and start from there. You'll have to catch a swarm, or an experienced beekeeper is going to have to help you out there. I actually don't know what our magic beekeeper did to give us bees. So this is what our Flow Hives looked in year 1 when we got the bees from our friend in probably May of that year. They didn't do much. They went up there, they looked around a little bit. From this angle, it looks like they used it as some sort of bin or toilet or something. I actually don't know, but we did not get any honey in that year. But that was fine because it was the first year. So I don't think we would have got honey regardless. So now to the second problem with the Flow Hive is you can't order parts separately, or I can't seem to find a website where I can order separate parts for my Flow Hive. And the Langstroth hives that I can get in Ireland, so I have hive here beside me. So I can buy these. They take the Langstroth frames, but the Flow Hive does not fit on them. They're wider. Okay. I can show you here. Another friend who's a carpenter had to make this for us. So I gave him the super from the Flow Hive and asked him to make a duplicate. And this is what he made for us. And we're very grateful for that. I'll show you now. I'll put it up on top. And like you see there, it doesn't fit. Okay, so if that's the Flow Hive, these are the ones I can buy and get delivered, and they're not compatible with each other at all. So we got the 6-frame Flow Hive. Maybe if you got the 8-frame Flow Hive, they would fit these Langstroth hives that you can buy online. I don't know, ours doesn't fit, so we have to tailor make the parts. So this is what we tried initially. We had the bottom of the Flow Hive, the brood box. We put the box my friend made on top as like a normal honey super with like the usual frames. And the bees filled that. And then once that was almost full, we put the Flow super on top of that then as a second super. But they still had no interest in the Flow Hive. So I watched a few YouTube videos of how to encourage the bees to come up into the flow hive, and what most of them said was to paint the frames with wax. So I did that. I melted down wax, just out foundation that I bought. I melted that down and I painted that over the flow frames and put them back in. But when I went to do that job to put back on the super, I thought of a more genius idea. So when I took off the super that our friend had made for us, the bees had actually drawn out comb underneath the frames and connected it onto the queen excluder. So my genius idea, which I think is what got the bees to use the flow frame, was to scoop off all that extra honeycomb and slap it into the flow frame, smush it in there, and all the frames got a coating. And I actually think that is what got the bees to understand what was going on with this plastic, with these plastic frames. This is what they're for. So when we put the hive back together, then I decided to put the flow frame on top of the brood box and the frame that was already full of honey on top of that, so that the bees had to go through the flow hive to get their honey on top, or to get back down to the queen. They had to go through that flow hive. They had to use it and get used to it. So the whole point of the flow frame is that you can use it in situ. You go out there, you don't disturb the bees, you turn the tap, you take the honey, and the bees aren't upset, you're not upset, everybody's happy. That's not really how it worked for us. Now, maybe it's because we're inexperienced. We turned on the tap and there was bees everywhere. They came out of everywhere. I think we might be missing a part, because I've seen in other videos there's a metal thing blocking the bees from coming out underneath the taps, but we didn't have that and they were all over us, so we could not get it out. We had to abandon that idea and bring it inside. So we've decided we need to use porter escapes to get the bees out of the honey super. Again, I don't have a second crown board and I can't buy one, so I have to make one. I'm not great at carpentry. Conor wouldn't make it for me, so I had to find polystyrene box that we had lying around the place and cut holes in it so I could put in the bee escapes. Also made kind of polystyrene roof out of the bottom of the box, and I'll show you that now in the next video. So I could not have done this without Conor. This super was really, really heavy. There are up to 3 kgs of honey in each flow frame, 6 frames. That weighed about 18 kilograms. I could not lift it. So I had to get Conor to help, and my son Keithan. And Conor actually had the genius idea. He said, why do people put porter bee escapes down and then put the super back on? Like, you're lifting so much more than you need to lift. So tell me in the comments, what's wrong with this idea? This was Conor's genius idea. We put a basket down. We put my polystyrene crown board down with the porter escapes. We put the super on top and the polystyrene roof that I cut out, and duct taped up everywhere to seal it up. Tell me in the comments, what's wrong with that? Why do you have to put the super back on the hive? Because this worked. So we left that for about 2 days and then brought it in. And again, I couldn't lift it. So Keithan actually brought it from there into the house. We brought it into our garage first to open it up and make sure. There was a couple of bees inside, but there wasn't many left and they just flew away. So you can see here, we started off with a mason jar, and we grossly underestimated how much honey was going to be in these frames. But it was so magnificent to watch. Now, this is highlighting a big issue with taking the flow frame off of the hive. And even if it was on the hive, I don't know how this problem would be solved. The honey was coming down through the bottom of the frame. So you can see we put a plastic bag there and directed it back in to the jar. A lot of honey came out of there. A lot of honey. If we didn't have that bag, the place would be destroyed. We would have lost a lot of honey. If that was on the hive, and all of that would have spilt down onto the bees. Liters of honey, kgs of honey would have spilt down on top of the bees. I don't know, it would have been a complete mess, complete disaster. So I'm glad we did take it off. From reading online, it happens when the frames aren't fully sealed, but our frames were all fully capped over. The honey still came out the sides anyway. It is just magical to watch. It's so simple, it's so easy. Anybody could do this. You need very little equipment after the initial investment of almost €1,000 to buy the flow frame in the beginning. You need nothing after that, only a bucket to pour it into. So it's really expensive. You can't buy spare parts for it. It doesn't fit the standard size in Ireland, which is the national size. It's super, super heavy, doesn't really work on the frame. In Australia, they leave it on all year round. In Ireland, it's going to have to come off anyway because you're going to have to do Varroa treatment. It's too cold. You can't leave that size of a box on top of the brood. They will all freeze to death and die. So it has to come off in Ireland anyway. But all that being said, it is magical. It is amazing. And yeah, I don't know. I'm in two minds about it. I will be using it again next year.
I have a honey sandwich.
Sure.